Now let's look at this figure 15-15 from Stallcup's Electrical Design Book, Volume 2. And notice we're now having a color coding type procedure for DC circuits. In the past, we were actually using the color code scheme of 310.10 of the NEC, which would refer you over to 200.6 for the identification of a grounded conductor, neutral, and it would refer you over to 250.119 for the color coding of your equipment ground. 310.10C as in car would refer you over to 220.12 for the color coding and identification of the ungrounded conductors. And due to these systems such as wind generators, wind electrical systems, PV systems, DC is produced. And so they wanted to where the DC was routed before maybe it was put in a converter and converted to AC. They wanted to mark these. Now UL gives us some UL standards to use as you see in the boxed in information. But the note 1 talks about where a feeder is more than 50 volts. DC number 4, greater identification should be by polarity at terminations and splice points by marking tape or other approved means such as sleeving or shrink tubing. But we have to identify those, see? Now, and notice you see the DC feeder here is more than 60 volt, and we're just saying that from 215.12C2. And remember, we're picking up feeder identification here. This wouldn't be, it'd be, I think, 210.12C, I believe it is, that for your branch circuits, or 220.12C, one of those. Now, note 2, a number 6 or smaller should be identified by polarity at all terminals, connection, and splicing of points. Number 3, the identification method used for conductors originating within each feeder enclosure should be documented such that it be readily available and posted at each feeder location. And then, basically, it's just kind of like a battery. It's red and black identification for your ungrounded conductor and your grounded conductor. And so they're pointing out here that identification or color coding would be required for DC systems, which would be different than AC systems. And that's what this figure 15-15 is warning about and telling you to identify them properly as DC circuits and not AC circuits.